Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome in. Um, so for this live stream, I chose to use Restream. I don't know if there's audio clipping like it used to do before with me. Let me know in the chat if there is. But I needed to use this one just because. Let me get the chat feed open. But I needed to use it just because there's some stuff I'm going to show on here. So just to kind of help the stream so there's not really much of an issue. I don't have the video feed turned on for me. You guys don't really need to see me anyways. But what I'm going to show you guys is possibly the note that was that appeared after the cyber attack happened. Basically, Ransom, the Ransom note that was given to Dish, Boost Infinite, Boost Mobile, for them to realize that they no longer had control over the system. So I'm going to show that. Now, again, I'm saying that, I'm not saying that this is exactly it, but it seems to be credible. So I'll let you guys be the judge of that when you guys see the note here. I'm going to wait a few more minutes just to allow more people to join in on this live stream. And then that way I can bring up the images for you guys to see and read for yourselves. A real big shout out to Barry Sells. My Boost Infinite group on Facebook, while at 135 members so far, it is an amazing group, very active, lots of people in there, just being very engaging and everything, and I really appreciate that. I don't have a lot of time to manage the group page to be on there all the time, but I got wonderful people in place that's just taking the reins and running with it, and I couldn't be happier. So this is how I get some of the information. Barry Sells has been very helpful in obtaining information to pass on to me, for me to pass on to you guys. So if he appears in here later on in the live stream, give him a shout out. Yeah, because that's helpful. We all want answers. We want to know what exactly happened. And while this is not intended to save customers for Boost Infinite. This is not, to tell people, hey, you guys should import out or anything, any of that stuff. So I don't get that twisted at all whatsoever. That has nothing to do with it. Yeah, they didn't pay. As a matter of fact, before I start going into the images, and this is kind of sad. So we don't know the person's actual name, but obviously they work for Dish Wireless, Boost Infinite, specifically, because they were on Reddit. They were angry, they were tired, they were overworked, and they maintained not disclosing the company's name. But there's ways that people figured it out. Obviously, with what he said in his post on Reddit, which was he cannot name the company, because they'll figure out who he is. But it's if you've been paying attention to the news, about it. So I mean, this is why I'm not saying it's 100% guaranteed that this is legit, but this does seem kind of credible. The person went on to talk about the long hours that they've worked. So they never paid the ransom to retrieve the system back from the cyber attackers. In fact, they rebuilt the entire thing from scratch. They rebuilt all of it. Dish Network, Sling TV, Boost Infinite, Boost Mobile, all of it got rebuilt. Now you can imagine how many hours that these guys and gals put in to rebuild all of this back up from ground up. One of the people from that works with Dish, Carlos S. Tech, you may have seen him, about him, heard about him. If you have not, you're probably living under a rock. But Carlos S. Tech did drop that information on, I think it was my second or third live stream that I was talking about the Boost Infinite cyber attack. He came in and, he was very nice enough to just drop that information. And he said himself that they were going to rebuild the system from ground up. This is the reason why customer care calls didn't work, why the apps didn't work, why you couldn't chat with nobody, why customer care was completely down, was because they were going to rebuild the system from ground up. So it was almost like the Boost Infinite, Boost Mobile, um, Project Genesis network was running on autopilot, right? Because most customers did not get disconnected when the system got completely hijacked by the cyber attackers. Most people maintained their services. Of course, those that were coming up on bill payment dates that went past their due date ended up, obviously being having service interrupted because of non-payment. But of course, they couldn't make payments because the system was down. So the person themselves literally posted on Reddit, shared a little bit of information, not too much, but just literally like confirmed everything that Carlos S. Tech was saying, which was they were going to build everything from ground up. They weren't going to pay the ransom. What up, Sneed? They weren't going to pay the ransom. They were not going to comply with the cyber attackers. They literally put their people to work and worked them. They did. They worked them pretty hard. Because that guy that was in the Reddit post was almost, kind of like complaining. Just, I mean, you got to think about it. Sitting at a desk, looking at a computer monitor, coding like hell, your fingers got to cramp up. I don't think they sell Jolt Cola anymore. So Jolt Cola wouldn't be something that, you can just get caffeinated on. You probably have to like brew up some massive pots of coffee. All these things were going on, and, they're rebuilding it back up. And so even why there's still partially glitches today, some people are reporting there's issues within the apps. Sometimes the apps go back down. They're rebuilding everything back up. They didn't pay the ransom. So that much we know. The images themselves, I downloaded to my my Google Drive. So, some of them are going to be a little bit wonky. So let me just go ahead and get one of these up, and I'll show you guys. So let me pop Google Drive open, and then make sure that at least, it shows on the screen. And I'm going to kind of close the chat out to make it more big so you guys can see it better. So let me just do that really quickly. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in on the node itself. We'll just do it one by one, because using my scroll. Okay, so this is supposed to be the ransom note that that appeared on their computer screens when they logged into systems. It's kind of blurry. Maybe later on I'll run it through Google Photos Editor and see if I can clear it up, and then I'll share it on Instagram, and I'll probably share this on Twitter too. But what it says on the very top, it says, attention, your network has been breached and all data was encrypted. Please contact us at, and then they highlighted out the address and then the login ID and everything to get access. It goes on to say to access Onion websites, download and install Tor browser at, and it gives you torproject.org. So this was all on the dark web, because you have to use an Onion browser to get in there, or Tor browser. To restore all your PCs and get your network working again, follow these instructions. Any attempts to modify, decrypt, or rename the files will lead to its fatal corruption. It doesn't matter, and that's partially cut off. So I'll see if I can find the full extension to it. It says, please follow these simple rules to avoid data corruption. Do not modify, rename, or delete files. Any attempts to modify, decrypt, or rename the files will lead to fatal corruption. Do not hire a recovery company. They can't decrypt without the key. They also don't care about your business. They believe that they are good negotiators, but it is not. They usually fail. So speak for yourself. Waiting. I think they meant to put waiting for you in chat, but the person typed that last part out. Waiting you in a chat. Meant waiting for you. So this is supposedly the ransom note. Well, so what I'm going to assume here is because they were able to gain it, the 10,000 computers were infected. 10,000 of the company's computers were infected. So that tells me that their system wasn't even sectioned off. There were no sectors to where, like, if one goes down, it can like basically sandboxing it. It's just one system itself. So when they got a hold of it, they got a hold of all of it. Which meant that it was probably really, like, once they got in, that's all they really had to do. There was really not much to it. But yeah, so this is the supposed ransom note left by the cyber attackers. Okay, allegedly their note. This is crazy. I've seen stuff like this before, so this doesn't surprise me. And I guess those guys that if this is really the ransom note, those cyber attackers, they must have been really excited at the end of typing up these instructions to misspell that last line, because there's not a bunch of misspellings throughout the entire thing, just that very last line. So they must have been like, yeah, we got them, and they're gonna pay us for it. I don't think the cyber attackers really bet that Dish would have their peoples code up an entire system. So it was like, in an analogy for those that don't understand this, it was like, let's say Dish, Boost Mobile, Boost Infinite is a car. These guys went in and they encrypted the engine from starting. They were betting on that, Boost would just pay the ransom to have the engine reinstalled in the vehicle so they can drive again. And what they found out was that Dish hired mechanics to build an entirely new motor for their car, install it while it's moving. Okay, like, we're not talking about a car sitting still, right? Because customers were still able to use their phones, data, calls, texts were still working for most. So the vehicle was still moving. So they had to install an engine in the vehicle that was moving and then crank it on to make sure the motor is running properly. Of course, there's bugs and kinks and stuff like that. So while the car's still moving, they're turning off the motor and making adjustments, right? Tuning it, making sure that, the air intake is correct to the ratio of gas going in, where the cylinder compresses and enough spark to combust. That's what they're doing. This is why the app goes down and comes up, goes down, comes up. They're making adjustments because they're building everything from scratch. Carlos was right. Anyone that doubted Carlos on what he was saying or thought maybe he was just talking out of the wind, now he wasn't. And Carlos put himself in the line of fire for that one. Because obviously Dish doesn't want this information leaked out. They for sure don't want it leaked out at all whatsoever. Viewers can pinch to zoom as well. Oh, cool. That's awesome. Crazy to think it only affected PCs. Yeah, it affected all their systems. All their systems were combined as one. TJ, hi, how's it going? DS Boy 33. Oh wow, yeah. Oh wow. So this was leaked out. This is the ransom notes. Let me know if you guys are ready to move on to the next photo, and I'll pop that up. I'm gonna give everyone time to just look at this one here, and then you guys can tell me too if you guys think this is legit or do you guys think that this is BS. Let me know. That's the reason, I was just surprised when I saw this. And again, shout out to Barry Sells for hitting me up on the Boost Infinite group page on Facebook, and he's keeping it down too. Like, I appreciate it. Basically just trying to answer as much information, give as much information and answer as much questions as I can to those people that are Boost Infinite customers that built the page on Facebook. Didn't think that it was going to start to grow, and it started growing, especially the cyber attack. The cyber attack really made that page grow. A lot of people went there looking for answers, and I did have to reiterate that Boost Infinite did not own that group page. That I, a normal person, built that page because I want to share information. And there I've been just chatting with people, those that wanted to port out, and telling them, don't feel bad about porting out. Like, you got to make the decisions for yourself. This is what I tell everybody. Like, just because I'm staying with Boost Infinite and I'm not porting my number anywhere doesn't mean that everyone has to follow, right? Those people who were concerned, for sure, I want them to be able to, just basically protect themselves. And if going to another provider is something that, makes sense to them, go to another provider. But I read a lot of frustrations from people, different people experiencing different things, right? Some people were experiencing their services actually getting cut off. Some of them were just fine, like myself. Some of them, you know, were cut off because, you know, they weren't able to pay their bill. Like, there were various things that went wrong with it. But yeah, this is, again, for those that are just joining in, this on the screen right now, I'll make it bigger again. But this right here is the supposed ransom note that was left by the cyber attackers to Dish when it took over everything. And I guess the second reason why that I'm not so frustrated with Boost Infinite and Boost Mobile is because it could have been far worse for us. At least our services maintained. Dish network TV subscribers and Sling TV subscribers, they had no TV service, and they couldn't even log in to find out what was going on. So just imagine, you know, you're wanting to watch the Grammys, or you were going to watch, you know, any sports game or whatever, and you wake up that morning and you cut the TV on and there's nothing, no service whatsoever. And you're like, oh, maybe I forgot to pay the bill, but my bill's usually due at a different date. So you head on over to your laptop computer and you sign in, and you can't get access in. So now you have no TV. You have no way of looking in to see if your services has been interrupted because it was your fault or an error on their end. So now you're just left trying to guess. And you're Googling on your smartphone, has anyone else's Dish TV shut down? And then you find out that the company had a cyber attack. You know, at least for us, we still had our phones, so we can still call family and stuff like that. For someone that has been through this with a former employer, it was such a pain. I can only bet it was such a pain, man. And my heart goes out to a lot of those guys and gals out there that are working for Dish, that are literally building the entire system back up, like having to rebuild a model of a system used to govern television and wireless communications, because your original one is encrypted and locked away and you just don't have access to it. You can't. You get that one back if you know, pay the ransom. But hopefully Dish learned from this mistake, and as they're building out their system, their brand new system to govern all their services that they offer, I hope that they learned from this, and they've also taken into consideration strongly beefing up their cybersecurity, and maybe developing the system in sectors rather than in one complete, you know, like system connection, like one, as instead of it being one whole, break it up into sectors, right? Have some fail safes in this system put in place that if one area of the sector is breached, the other ones get sandboxed, or that sector that's breached gets sandboxed away from the other one, so then that way there's no way to get in. Right? Make it hard for them to get through to get everything. You know, it's a lot better if only one sector went down and you had that sandbox out, and then you have to go through that too. You got to recover it or just rebuild off of that, versus having your entire system gone. That is sad as hell. Let me bring up the next photo here. So, and so this was a thread on Reddit. So it has the link right there. Yeah, if you guys want to pinch the zoom to make that bigger for yourself so you guys can really see it. I guess I can make it just a little bit more bigger, and I'll just kind of like scroll through it. So the top part, this is all on Reddit. So the top part was this person posted, this was possibly the link, the note the hacker left on 10,000 infected. So you could probably just Google search that, like Reddit, the note that, you know, the keywords, the note the hacker left on 10,000. And that might bring you up that link to it. Next person goes, that's right. This was the screenshot. So one person's trying to confirm it. Oh, the original poster is trying to confirm it. Then you got, I'm not going to say their usernames because some of them looks inappropriate to say. Totally brutal. 10K systems. Network must have been flat as F. Or someone with all the power got owned. I love when nerds get together and just like start going off. It's funny. This person's like, you mean having all the computers share SMB with one password and no 2FA on the remote shell is a bad thing? Excuse me, I have some stuff to do, LOL. This person's like, LOL, exactly. I remember a local service provider I was talking to was like, why add complexity of segmenting the network with VLANs and firewalling them off from each other? Just make it a solid single subnet and be done with it. Well, this is why. I was floored and sad that the guy did a bunch of work for SME. It seems like maybe Dish worked with that guy. And you got other people chiming in. Now, this is interesting. Great find. And then another person's like, I thought you were kidding, but it seems like it's real. Wow. Yeah. So exactly like, what my thoughts was, section the stuff off. That way, if you grid it out in sectors, it makes it to where if one sector is breached, you can sandbox it and just freaking, it can't interact with all the other ones, I totally agree. They should have done something like that. 10,000 computers, 10,000 systems infected. It just baffles me. I like to tease T-Mobile about having Game Boy level security, but I'm going to go on a whim and say that Dish did too. But then again, most of the mobile service providers weren't expecting cyber warfare in this case like this, which I think, is pretty ignorant of them to be that way. You deal in communications, you deal in cellular communications, data communications, right? Things are going data. Everything's being pushed towards data, phone calls, text is converted from the old SMS to, requiring data connections for it to have an end-to-end encrypted sent for a message, as well as sending higher files, like bigger size files. Everything is going data. We're developing on AI. We're developing on AR. We're developing on VR. Everything is going data. So I don't understand how these companies didn't ever think to themselves, how well is our security? Maybe we should maybe we should beef up our security. Maybe it's time to upgrade our security. Maybe we should hire a security firm to take a look at our security measures and see if our security measures are good or if they're bad. Today, these hackers are getting more and more and more sophisticated. I think one of the ones that really just had me baffled, I forgot the name of the attack, but it literally used a drill attack. And it was funny because the program itself, the malware itself, would use a drill attack method to gain access onto your phone. And then the program itself not only would basically break into your system, but it would cover its trail. So if you use an antivirus software, you wouldn't find the trail that the malware used to break into your system. It masks itself. It's like a near perfect chameleon. It's hard to find. 9 out of 10 antivirus softwares can't find this thing. When they start going through all your files to look for it, for like anything that seems suspicious or whatever, this malware passes itself off as like one of the softwares that's supposed to be on your device. And again, like I said, when it drills into your system to gain access, it leaves no trail. So you can't take, and try to upgrade your antivirus software to find and execute this thing. There's no trail for it to try and learn how it got into your system, because that's how antivirus works. It needs a trail. You need a trail of the malware and how it got in, because that trail will tell the antivirus software how to find this thing. And then you can update your antivirus. You can build an antivirus for it and update your antivirus software and use it. That was one of the most scariest things. And that is still current today. This is why you have to be careful what you click on your smartphone with a text message that comes through that you're not sure about. If it's got a link, if you're not sure, don't click it. Don't ever click it. Same thing on your computer. Don't download from untrusted sources. And if you're going to play around on the dark web because you want to be pretending that you're this skilled hacker when all you're really doing is just copying somebody else's to-do methods to get yourself onto the dark web. Um, yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, stay the hell out of there. Okay. I somewhat know what I'm doing, and even then, like, I'm very cautious and nervous too to be on the dark web because you just don't know what you'll bring back with you. So I don't go on it periodically. Maybe when I get curious, I may dabble my way in there. Because I'll be honest. I was one of those people, like, 5 years ago, my friend tricked me into thinking that he found a red room on the dark web. I can't say what a red room is. Just Google it yourselves and you know what it is. But he said he found a red room, and he, like, I got curious. It's messed up. It's not cool, but I got curious. Okay. It's nothing like super bad, but like a red room is kind of like, think of the movie Hostel, and what happened on Hostel when they abducted people and what they did. Red rooms are like that, where it's like a live stream, and supposedly you see that happening to somebody. And anyways, not going any more into detail, but yeah, they say that red rooms don't exist, but I don't know. The dark web is so huge, right? If you think about the internet and stuff and how big it is, like, compare it to an iceberg. The World Wide Web that's indexed is the part of the iceberg you see above the water. It's indexed, it can be watched. The massive body of the iceberg under the water that sank the Titanic, that's the dark web. The more deeper you go, the further in the dark you get, the more dangerous it is. There's things you probably heard in movies, are like references to some of the things that you see on there. Like, people go on there and they purchase somebody's credit card information, right? Scam call centers frequent the dark web because this is where they get information so they can call you on the phone and try to scam you out of your money, pretending to be the IRS or whatever, right? Like, if they get like your T-Mobile bill information, they'll contact and mask themselves as T-Mobile. Yes. Today, hackers of today are very, very knowledgeable and very skilled, really super skilled. I mean, when I was growing up, like in the 90s, we had hackers then too. We had people that were like dabbling in that type of stuff. But the type of programs that they wrote, like the malware that they created, was nothing like it is today. Today is so far advanced. It's just, wow, blows my mind. Literally blows my mind. I'm going to switch it off to the, let's see. All right, this one I will. So this was a thread on Reddit. Okay, so it says right here. So this is from the person themselves. Okay, that's about as big as I can make it. But it says right here, the note the hacker left on 10,000 plus infected computers at my work. They also hijacked our entire network at the large company I work for. It's been a long month. And then they were going to type another post here, and it says, I'm definitely worn out from the long nights trying to get my site back up by myself. Here's a picture of the note, and it has a link. Okay. And then the discussion goes on. It says right here, so this person in the thread, what is the initial infection vector? Did you consult an IR company, invoke cyber insurance, pay the ransom? How do you evict, determine, safe, rebuild, restore? Question. Besides the note, did any systems in place catch this? Oh, 10,000 systems. Did this happen overnight? Did they pivot, get domain admin, etc.? How many bottles of whiskey? Question. So those are some funny questions. And then the bottom of this screenshot, the person puts, there's some information I don't want to say because it might reveal my identity. If you explore tech news, I'm sure you can figure out my company. I honestly don't know on the first three questions. I'm somewhat at a remote location and away from corporate. From what I know, we did not pay the ransom. We completely rebuilt our network and re-imaged every Windows PC that was on the network when this all occurred. It happened at 9 p.m. and by the time I was at work around 7:30, everything was shut down. Every Windows computer that was connected to our network was infected, including, and it continues on, which I don't have the rest of the shot. But yeah, what I'll probably do is I'll try to find that link, and if I find that link, I will come back and I will put it into the description of this live stream for you guys. Barry Sells, the man of the hour, for sharing this information with me. Thank you again, good sir. There's one of my moderators on the Boost Infinite group page on Facebook, right here. Thank you very much for that, for the information, for the screenshots. You know, Barry, if you could do me a solid right now. If you actually have that link to that Reddit post, if you want to drop that in the chat so people can, click on it and bookmark it for them, that'd be totally cool. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. I'll grab it later and throw it in on the description later. I still have to anyways for those that, that come in later on. So. Anyways, I'll just keep the chat overlay closed and I'll just bring it up. But yeah, it's insane. It's crazy. It's super, super crazy how all this just came to be. And, I don't expect regular average consumers to understand. And this is in no way, a plot to, giving an excuse to Dish or everything like that. But for those people that want to know somewhat of what's going on and how did Dish get control of stuff back, they never did. They rebuilt everything back up. And hopefully with their system, their main system, hopefully they break that up into sectors and have a fail-safe, that, like I said, if one sector gets breached, it is sandboxed and isolated away from the other ones that it cannot enter into other sectors and take the system down, giving the cybersecurity team enough time to basically isolate and investigate. They should have had this from the start. And hopefully other companies like Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile looked at what happened to Dish and learned from that mistake and do something similar. If their system is similar to Dish's, they need to change it up. They need to get in there and change it up. To be honest, that's just, it is what it is. They got to do that. There's no way around it. But yeah, this is a quick live. I wasn't going to stay on here too long. I'll probably do a follow-up live stream on Tuesday, I want to say, because I got a lot going on this weekend. So I'm about to jump off here and close it up. Share this on your social platforms for other people to grab wind of this so they can see and listen to what I said in this. Tomorrow, I got to talk to B-Tech Reviews. Tomorrow we're doing, I plan to do a WrestleMania prediction. So if Mike is going to join me tomorrow, then we'll do it on the podcast channel that we're going to start talking about wrestling about. So I'll link that in the description too for those outside of tech. If you're into wrestling or you want to watch that event, that'd be cool. I'd love to have you guys there. And we're only going to do a watch party for WrestleMania Day 1, Saturday, April 1st, which is also my dad's birthday. So we'll do a watch party watching WrestleMania while live streaming. Won't live stream WrestleMania because then, our stream will get taken down, but we'll be watching it and reacting to it live. Then Sunday, day 2, there won't be a live stream just because both Mike and I agreed that, we really want to watch it without any interruptions. So being on a watch party, obviously, we're going to be interacting with the chat. So day 1 will be live stream. Tomorrow will be predictions. Who do we think are going to win the titles, matches, grudge matches, storyline changes, any of that stuff. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to message Mike later on tonight and have him set that up. Unless he's busy, then I'll just do it on my channel here. But I'll let you guys know on Twitter. If you guys want to see the pictures, they're on Instagram. Follow my Instagram, link it in the description. Also posting videos on Instagram as well. So content is over there too as well. And next week, Tuesday, after this processes to a lot of people and word gets out, I'm going to do a live stream to get everybody's feedback on what they think. And sky's the limit. You know, you're not going to get ridiculed if you port it out from Boost Infinite. You're not going to get slammed if you bash on it. Just don't bash on people that think different from you is all I ask. But I appreciate you guys for coming in. Y'all are amazing. Enjoy. Those that got a 3-day weekend, enjoy your 3-day weekend. Y'all are cool. I'll see you on the next one.